Matt was tapping his fork against his plate again. Tap, tap, tap. Like something stuck in a broken record player in his head. Did he not even notice how much it drove me nuts? So, anything interesting happen at work, hun? He asked. His voice was flat, like he was reading from a script we'd both memorized years ago. It wouldn't be a lie to just tell him, exactly. A text from Alex had popped up. Thinking about you winking face, it had sent a jolt through me, like a shot of straight whiskey on an empty stomach. But how would I say that out loud to Matt? That a stupid smiley face had made me feel more alive than dinner with my own husband ever could. Nah, the usual, I mumbled, shoving a forkful of salad into my mouth. Why did I always default to boring? I could have made something up, spiced it up a bit. Across the restaurant, 2 tables over, my eyes snagged on a familiar face. Alex, Mr. Smiley Face himself. It was a total fluke seeing him, but man, my heart did a stupid little jump. Our eyes met for just a second, but it was enough to flick a switch. Suddenly, my skin felt a bit too tight. A memory from that conference hotel bar popped up unbidden, brushing shoulders with Alex, that momentary static charge. Was it my imagination, or had there been something intentional about it? I forced my gaze back to Matt. Same haircut, same predictable jokes. Nothing about him screamed excitement. But Alex? He just had that thing, you know? That energy. Maybe it was just the thrill of something new, something wrong. A little voice in the back of my head gave a nagging cough. Oh, shut up, conscience. Matt's fine, the marriage is fine. Maybe I just needed a bit of a distraction. It's not like I was planning on acting on anything crazy. I excused myself, heading to the bathroom. In the mirror, above the usual smudges from the 1,000 other women who'd checked their lipstick, it was like I didn't recognize myself. There was a flicker in my eyes. It was subtle, dangerous, and kind of hot. This was absolutely stupid. I was absolutely screwed. Back at the table, it was like Matt and I were acting out a play with the wrong lines, the wrong timing, the wrong everything. Maybe it was time to change the script. My finger hovered over the send button, pulse pounding. One measly text message, but oh boy, this was no accident. So sorry, clumsy fingers. I typed, inventing some gibberish about hitting the wrong contact. I was a master of lame excuses with Matt, but this took my lying skills to new levels of genius, or maybe just delusion. The reply from Alex was near instant. No worries, happens to the best of us, winking face. Any chance it was an accidental text you secretly wanted to send? His teasing tone made my stomach do that fluttery, traitorous thing again. The next few days went by in a blur of stolen texts and snatched looks at my phone. Flirting with Alex felt like playing hooky on the most important test of your life. Wrong, exhilarating, and strangely addictive. I swear, Matt had to be blind. I was inventing errands like I was getting paid for it. Popping out for late-night milk runs that involved meeting Alex's eyes across a crowded supermarket aisle, passing notes. Okay, it was passing coded text messages, but it felt like a spy movie in the frozen food section. The thrill of the secret, the hiding in plain sight, it was intoxicating. My nights became a mess of restless sleep and feverishly tapping out texts to Alex. I barely functioned at work, but the dark circles under my eyes, those were all thanks to being up way past my bedtime and loving every minute of it. At lunch, Matt grabbed my hand across the table and said, "You seem kind of bright-eyed lately. Something good going on? If only you knew, idiot." Instead, I mumbled about some project at work finally clicking. Which was true, sort of. Project Alex was turning into quite the success. It was all becoming a swirling mess in my head. I couldn't untangle what I should be feeling. Guilt? Excitement? Fear? It didn't matter. Alex's texts were buzzing on my phone like an insistent mosquito, and I just couldn't swat the damn thing away. I excused myself, saying I needed the restroom, and locked myself in a stall. Just a few more messages. Just a few more hits of that adrenaline rush. I could quit anytime, right? Yeah, and pigs could fly. Business casual, the email had said, and I'd scoffed. Business casual in my world was like dressing up as a slightly less tired mom. Khaki pants and a non-spit-up stained blouse. Today, though, there was nothing casual about it. This was warfare. The dress, a silky red thing that was way too daring for my everyday life, whispered promises. I'd never had a power outfit before. As I slid it on, I felt a surge of unfamiliar electricity. The Sarah in the mirror, she wasn't my usual self. Who was she? This bold, secret Sarah. And why was I kind of excited to find out? Have a good day at work, chirped Matt as I headed out the door. Oblivious. Was he? Had this shift in me, this vibrancy that was half thrill, half terror, made me readable? I shook the worry away. No time to overthink. The countdown to my lunch with Alex was on, every tick of the clock ratcheting up the tension. He waited outside the restaurant, looking unfairly handsome. It was like a damn rom-com scene, except I was the cheating wife. Not the sort of plot twist I'd ever imagined for myself. You look amazing, he murmured, his gaze making me flush. I managed a breezy, thanks. New dress, but it came out all breathy, betraying me. Lunch was a game of double meanings. I spun a half-truth web of boring work projects, leaving him to fill in the blanks with whatever exciting scenarios his imagination cooked up. And my God, his imagination was working overtime. His hand brushing mine, accidentally, as we reached for the breadbasket was like a live wire. It set off a wildfire in me, burning away any lingering common sense. Later, we strolled along the waterfront, supposedly for fresh air. Like either of us needed help getting dizzy. This wasn't flirting anymore, it was dancing with a flamethrower. The world narrowed to just us, a stolen bubble of heat in the middle of the busy street. It was crazy and stupid, and it felt so damn good. We both knew it couldn't stay just this. We were on the edge of something big that could blow our lives sky high. That's when he suggested it. Just one quick drink, he promised, his voice low and persuasive. One drink to, I don't know, finalize this very important business, whatever it was we were pretending to discuss. The lies were piling up so fast I was starting to trip over them. The hotel lobby was all plush carpets and the faint scent of something insanely expensive that made my nose twitch like I was allergic. We were so out of place, me and Alex, but he acted like he owned the joint. And maybe, in a way, he did now. He owned this version of me. Each cocktail burned away another layer of hesitation. With every sip, Matt, and home, and everything normal, felt further away. All that mattered was the here and now. The heat of Alex's gaze on my skin. His laughter. The easy way he held my hand across the table as if it was the most natural thing in the world. A hand he had no right to hold. I needed the bathroom. Needed a minute to splash cold water on my face. Try to bring back my sanity. But the gilded mirror just reflected my guilt right back at me. The Sarah in it was a stranger, eyes wild, lipstick a bit smudged. And I swear, her smile held a hint of cruelty I didn't want to acknowledge. How had I gotten here? It was supposed to be an innocent flirtation, a spark in my boring life. When did this become the main event, the thing that I thought of more than the home I'd built with Matt? The question hung in the air as Alex ushered me out of the bathroom. I could have stopped it right then. I could have said, this was a mistake, and walked away. It wasn't said out loud, but his eyes on me, the question in his smirk as he subtly flashed a room key. That's when I made the choice. My fingers closed around the plastic card, and my mouth formed the simplest, most treacherous word. Okay. The elevator ride was agonizing. Every blink of the floor numbers hammered against my skull, 10, 9, 8. Each step closer to crossing a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Yet, every thud of my heart wasn't fear, it was anticipation. Sick, twisted, but true. He pushed the door open, and the room was all dim lights and a bed that screamed indulgence. In this space, I wasn't a wife, or a mom, or a supposedly sensible woman with boundaries. I was a traitor, an addict, a thrill seeker. And I was done running from it. I woke up in a bed too soft, a room too impersonal, the air tainted with a lingering scent that wasn't mine. The details of what had happened were fuzzy, flashes of heat and desperate hands, the taste of stolen champagne. But it had happened, that I couldn't deny. My eyes fell on an unfamiliar shape in the bedside chair, my dress. Not red anymore, it was stained with a damning splash of deep plum, lipstick? Wine? It didn't matter. It was proof, evidence I could never wash clean. And then, on the collar, a single strand of hair. Blonde, definitely not mine. Panic shot through me, hot and vicious. I had to get out. I snatched my things, stumbling in my heels as Alex slept on, blissfully oblivious to the turmoil raging inside me. Back in my own bathroom, scrubbing at the dress, showering till my skin turned raw, felt like punishments. But nothing could erase that out-of-body feeling, the certainty that Sarah, the old Sarah, was gone. Replaced by what? The lies were a new burden. A phone call from a made-up colleague to explain my lateness, a hasty text to Matt about a work emergency. The ease with which the words formed, that scared me most of all. Every notification, each ring of the phone, made me jump. What had once been innocent, Matt texting to ask what he could pick up at the store, now felt like a loaded gun pointed at my head. The paranoia gnawed at me, relentless. Was there a suspicious glint in his eyes, a hesitation in his voice? Or was I just projecting my crushing guilt onto him? Alex, too, became different. He wasn't playful anymore. There was a new possessiveness in his voicemails, a demanding edge. It made my skin crawl. Had I traded the boredom of an uninspiring marriage for this? Just another trap disguised as excitement? In stolen moments, away from both of them, clarity would hit me, merciless and bright. I'd see Matt's face, trusting and kind, and my heart would crack. What was I doing? Every decision, from that first text to Alex, had been like a brick added to a wall, one I'd built between us, between my old self and this monstrous stranger. The distraction became my lifeline. Mindless mall browsing, long walks that went nowhere, late-night drives with the radio playing songs that hurt so good. But the minute the car stopped, when the music faded, the thoughts swarmed back. I'd broken something precious, and I didn't know if it, or me, could ever be fixed. Alex. The name hung in the air, a ghostly whisper. Had I really said it out loud, in my sleep? Matt was awake, propping himself up on one elbow, the familiar lines of his face creased with confusion in the dimness. Who's Alex? He didn't sound accusing, just bewildered, and that was almost worse. Just some guy from that conference. Bad dream, I managed, my voice thick and fake. Matt subsided back onto the pillow, but not without a lingering frown. The close call sent me reeling. At work, every corner felt like a trap waiting to spring. Was Emily, my usually easygoing cubicle neighbor, watching me more closely? There was a sharp edge to her jokes, her casual questions about my weekend. Did she know something, or was it my paranoia making her an enemy? The dinner argument with Matt should have been nothing. A burnt casserole, whatever. But the frustration bubbled over, fueled by a different kind of burning. I snapped, cruel words flying out, accusing him of not paying attention, not making me feel special. He stared, shocked, before retreating into that infuriatingly calm space he went to when I became unreasonable. Matt knew me, better than I knew myself these days. Had he always sensed there was more to my distraction than just work stress? That night, I nearly jumped out of my skin when Alex's text buzzed on the bedside table. Matt was out cold. I scrambled for the phone, heart pounding like I'd been caught red-handed. But the message wasn't sweet. It was demanding, needy. A chill washed over me. I wasn't an adventure anymore. I was his dirty little secret, and secrets have a way of getting out. The unease grew over the following days. A misplaced earring, the vague memory of an open drawer I never used. It was probably nothing, just my brain conjuring horrors. Yet, the doubt lingered. Once, I swore I saw a strange car idling down the street. Jumping at shadows, that's what I was becoming. The discovery, when it came, wasn't dramatic. An unfamiliar receipt fluttered from Matt's pocket as he tossed his laundry in the hamper. Not a restaurant, not a gift. Some supply store, an address way out of our usual territory. A Google search turned my stomach. Heavy-duty rope, industrial cleaner, tarps. The image that rose, unbidden, in my mind was chilling. The affair had been reckless, selfish. But this felt dangerous. Suddenly the stakes weren't just my wrecked marriage. I'd stumbled into something far more sinister, and the panic clawed at me. Did Alex see me as more than a dalliance now? A witness, a liability? I was in too deep, way over my head. My little rebellion wasn't a stolen kiss in a hotel room anymore. It was a runaway train, and I had no idea how to stop the crash. The confrontation could wait no longer. I cornered Matt in the kitchen as he scrambled eggs, his back to me, whistling some infuriatingly cheerful tune. The smell of bacon, so comforting a week ago, now made me want to retch. What the hell were you doing at that warehouse, Matt? My voice was a whip crack, shattering the peaceful facade of morning. He whirled around, startled, then his face shuddered into something I didn't recognize. The accusation hung in the air, thick and ugly. Betrayal, deceit, the stench of it was suffocating. Maybe he needed that jolt, just as I needed my fling with Alex. Now it was scorched earth, and God help whoever was left standing. He didn't deny it. At first, he tried bluffing, work stuff, but I saw right through it. Then it all poured out of him. Not an affair, like I'd assumed, but some other kind of rot. Debts, bad investments, a desperation he'd kept hidden under that cloak of infuriating normalcy. That would have been bad enough. But my phone buzzed, a poisoned cherry on top of this rancid cake. "We need to talk," from Alex. The timing couldn't have been more perfect if he'd planned it. Matt's eyes narrowed. So, he'd figured it out too. Just how deeply I'd screwed up all our lives. The fight, it wasn't even a fight, just two wounded animals lashing out, baring teeth. He called me reckless. I screamed about his lies. It was all background noise, though, drowned out by the realization. We were both a mess long before I met Alex. Maybe he'd only been a symptom, not the disease. I don't remember making a decision. One moment I was yelling, the next I was grabbing my car keys. Salvage my marriage? As if there were any scraps left worth saving. Cutting ties with both of them seemed the only sane option. My world was a smoking crater, and all I could do was run. Whether I ran back to my parents' house, or just drove for hours away from this mess, didn't matter. As I pulled away, I caught a glimpse of the neighbors peering out the window. Their avid curiosity just added fuel to an already raging fire. But the thing was, I'd always prided myself on keeping up appearances, on being the wife with the steady husband, the perfect life. Well, those appearances were blown to hell. Emily sent a worried text hours later. Maybe I'd go to her, spill everything. Or maybe I'd keep driving till my phone died, till I was so lost no one could ever find me. Perhaps that's what Alex had in mind, not me as his plaything, but as another casualty of whatever dark scheme he was caught up in. I was out of time, out of luck, and the future. Well, it was as wide open and terrifying as the highway stretching ahead. The first thing I bought with my own cash, not swiped from the joint account, a pathetic thrill, was a voice recorder. Tiny, sleek, nestled in my fist as I headed to the confrontation with Alex. It wasn't about legal action, but about the twisted satisfaction of knowing I had the means to blow up his pathetic game. "Meet me," I'd texted. No begging like before, no flirtation. The location was my choice. A crowded cafe, neutral territory. I scoped it out beforehand, picturing his face, so smug usually, contorting in shock. The fantasy fueled me in a way nothing had in months. He walked in, that cocky swagger I used to find irresistible. But as our eyes met, something was off. He saw it in me too, the endgame. This wasn't about stolen lunches and furtive kisses. This was about scorched earth. "Sarah, what's this about? You're acting weird." The usual charm fell flat. "Cut the crap, Alex." And just like that, it was all on the table. Not just our affair, but my suspicions about Matt, the receipt, the whole tangled mess. And then his own dirty laundry. The texts with another woman. Yes, I had screenshots, the suspiciously large cash withdrawals. His mask of confidence slipped, revealing the desperation underneath. He tried everything. Denial, bargains, promises to change, laughable, the lot of them. But I'd meticulously built my case. Each piece of evidence I produced made him shrink a little more. The cafe crowd melted away. He was threatening, the charm gone, replaced by a hiss in his voice. But I was done fearing him. My hand closed around the small recorder in my pocket, a silent threat. "One more word, Alex, and this all gets very public." His face went white. The shift of power was dizzying. I stood, leaving enough money to cover his overpriced latte. "Don't call. Don't text. We're done." Each word was a hammer blow. It was the last time I'd ever utter his name. Walking outside, the sun was blindingly bright. Triumph? No, not really. It was less of a victory than a severing. A part of me had died back in that hotel room. This was just about reclaiming what was left. The road ahead was a blur. Home? Matt? It didn't matter right now. This moment, however ugly, was mine. I'd fought and I survived, and maybe, just maybe, the Sarah who emerged, chipped and scarred, would be someone I could live with, even if I didn't quite recognize